Hey there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be tackling the brake pads and rotors replacement on an Audi. This is a 2015 A6 Quattro Premium Plus. And so I did the front brakes and there were little differences. And the only special tool I needed as opposed to normal brakes is you did need to have a 9mm hex wrench, which I didn't have, surprisingly. And that was $5.99 to purchase that. And you also need T-wrenches. So they're like T30s, T40s. They kind of look like star tips in a way. And I already had a set of those, so I didn't have to buy them. But those were the only two things that were different as far as the front brakes. Rear brakes, different story. I did have to go out and purchase a scanner tool. This particular car has an electronic parking brake, and in order to get the motor to back off, because as brake pads wear out, the motor kind of pushes the caliper in. So now I have to back that motor out, and the only way to do it well, I shouldn't say the only way, there is a mechanical way to do it, but it's a lot more tedious process. So I went out and purchased this because this is specific for like Audis and Volkswagens. Just 5 lugs to take off. Do the double kick method. Driver's side has a brake wear sensor, so you're gonna pull the tab off of this because it just sits in there. And then for this little, what you have to do is push this in, pull this out and snap it. So the way this connector worked is I'd have lift up on this from this end and then pull it out. This right here sits in a slot, so you just pull this out a little bit. It's sitting there like that, and then you turn it sideways and pull it straight out. And that just clamps on there, so we'll pull that out. And I find that when you try to put that on last, it usually is the easiest. So we're going to start with is we're going to take out the bolt here, the bolt there that are attached to the pins, which are right here, and those are going to be 13mm, and you need a 15mm thin wrench to sit on that to keep it from spinning. Quick step that I just missed, I do take a large screwdriver and I pry it in between the caliper and one of the brake pads, and I just pry it, and what it does is it closes the piston just enough to be able to pull off the caliper. And now what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be taking off a couple bolts in back here. They're the large ones. Somewhere down here. Right here is one of them. There's 2 of them. There's one there, and there's one up the top. And that's holding on the caliper bracket. And I am using a 3/4 inch. It is actually a metric. The 3/4 inch is a little loose, but it still does the job. Every rotor has given me trouble coming off. Take some WD-40 and squirt it all around in there. Let it penetrate. And we're going to take a T30 wrench and we're going to stick it into that screw. Take that out. It shouldn't be too hard to get that out. I stick a single lug in there, just a couple of turns. That way when I bang on this rotor, if it comes free, it doesn't fall down and make a whole lot of racket or whatever. So again, I'll keep on squirting some WD-40 in there. Then I'll start tapping around the spots right around here, and then I'll start hitting it from the back. Each time it's taking me about 10 minutes, but while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to collapse the caliper. I put one of the old brake pads on, and I have a C-clamp, and I'm attempting to collapse the caliper. I've got to kind of wiggle this around because the electronic parking brake is kind of in the way of where I would normally put the one side of the C-clamp to tighten it down. So I'm going to try to figure out different spots that I can use to have this. I think I might have found a spot, but we're going to, again, take off the lid to the master cylinder and it should compress easy. Take a wire brush to this inside lip, maybe spray it some brake cleaner. Then you're ready to put the new rotor on and put the T30 torque screw in there, and then we'll work on installing the new brake pads. So in the caliper bracket, you have these pins, and they have a boot on them. We're just going to peel back the rubber boot with one hand. So we're going to squeeze the rubber boot and we're just going to pull these straight out. We're just going to wipe them off and put some new grease on them. And that's what they look like when you pull them out, so just wipe them off, put some new grease. With both sets of brackets, you might notice that there's two different kinds of bolts. This was for the caliper bracket, it's for the main caliper thing, but the top bolt is longer in both cases. So this is the point right here that I put the brake pads in, and I put them back on the rotor, and then I took the caliper and placed it over that, and now with the caliper just sitting in place, I haven't put the screws in yet to bolt it in, but now that I have it in place, I took the sensor and I just pushed it down onto that, and then there's a cap here, they just feed through there, and now I'm going to put it back in the bracket because you need the bracket. The bracket's going to attach to this right here, so as you put the bracket on there and then you put the top bolt on, and then I'll have the bracket to hook that into, and then I'll plug it back in. There we have it. It was exactly 1 hour from start to finish, and gonna go tackle the other side and hopefully be done in another hour and take it for a test drive.